What's up, party people? It is hump day. I'm gonna be mixing some music, and I figured I'd invite you guys and gals, all my peeps. So yeah, we're getting into sort of a emo pop punk kind of vibe today. Live drums, really dope producer on this. Producer's name is Jared Kotler. He produced this song back in the days called Sex and Candy. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it goes, I want sex and candy here. Darn. Who's that lounging in my chair? I don't know. It's a really cool kind of alternative track from probably the 90s, early 2000s. But anyway, he produced this track, and the band on this one is called Blue Collar PA, and the song's called West Virginia, and I'm diving right in. How's everyone doing? Say what's up if you're here, and also if you like what you get out of these streams, please just share the show. That's all I ask. I'm not here like trying to hound you guys for money or anything. I'm giving you all my secrets, showing you all my plugins, showing you my workflow, exactly how I do it. I get permission from all my clients to be able to stream their music and teach you guys stuff. So all I ask in return, share the show, subscribe to the channel, show some love. And if you need a mix and master, hit the link in the description and book a mix and master with me. I'm booking up for some September right now. All right, let's get into the track. I'm gonna play you the reference track.
There's nothing really permanent for this. It's brand new to me, Jared, so you could roll it.
We took this trip to go!
All right, cool. So really fun song. Kind of reminds me of like early 2000s like emo stuff. The Get Up Kids are like something that come to mind when I hear this. Further Seems Forever. You know, before Dashboard Confessionals, those kind of vibes. Yeah, just really cool stuff. I really like it. I think it's fun. I want to modernize it though. I want it to be fresh. So that's what I'm gonna be doing with my mix. I have all the stems all broken out. I've already routed everything through what I think is an amazing chain for this style of music, especially if we want to modernize it. Everything I do is going to be modern. I'm never going to mix a record and like, you know, make it sound exactly like 2003. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing special about that. But definitely we want to keep all the aesthetics. We don't want to switch the aesthetics to where it's, oh, now this is like super, it's a pop record. You know what I mean? And also I use the reference for balance and everything. But let's listen to just going through my stuff, a small balancing act. What do we got?
There's nothing really permanent for this. It's brand new to me, Jared, so you could roll it.
We took this trip to go! Anytime
Sorry, you might have been hearing some doubles there because my microphone was unmuted.
There's nothing really permanent for this. It's brand new to me, Jared, so you could roll it.
We took this trip to go.
All right, so we're gonna start working on the drums here because I can just hear what I want out of them, and it's not there. They're not punchy enough. They're not tight enough. Snare's not popping, cracking enough. Things like that, right? So the first thing I have going on with my drum mix is I'm just taking it all to a drum mix sub with the NLS buses. Everyone knows this one by now. If you don't, just watch more of my videos. It's all good. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff because it's probably from like a previous session. I don't need any of that, and that's all good. I'm just sweeping, and then going to bass master bus. This is all looking good. I'm gonna try to just kind of like tighten up a little bit of the low. I don't know where it's at. I think it's like 200 or so. That's a little bit fuzzy for me.
Go.
So I like that bass. I think the bass is like, for now, it's good. It's solid. Like we're not too worried about that right now. But I do want to get into these drums a little bit. So let's look at what we got here. So we got some kicks. I just kind of grouped these all together. But one thing I do want to make sure is we got some good phase coherence in these kicks. Really, really important part of mixing drums is making sure we don't lose punch or fatness or fullness when we sum these kicks together, right? So here's the kick in, which is like the mic that's inside of the kick drum. Here's the kick out, which is the outside mic, and then it looks like they have a kick sub, which is like one of those Yamaha sub kick. You know, you can make your own with a speaker pretty much, and that's how you're micing up the kit. But one thing I'm noticing is you got this floor tom that's kind of like weirdly ahead of everything. So I don't know, this microphone looks like it got a little phasey or it's out of phase with something. I'm not too worried about this because the floor tom only plays like certain times of the song, but I know that it hits right up front here. Duh, duh, right? So we want to pay attention to this stuff, all of this, keep it all in phase. Best way to do this for me personally is I'm going to go to where the kick is like really playing, like maybe right in here, where it's just like 4 on the floor. Kind of loop an area, and then I'm going to open up the Sound Radix plugin, which is going to give me some auto align. And this is really great for, you know, drums, phase aligning multiple mics on one source. So there's 3 mics on this one source. So we're going to auto align to this, and then we can actually copy this down to the kick out and the kick sub. And we'll go bada bam. It reads it. It'll see these channels right here. And then we can align all 3 of these, right? So we can take all 3 of these and hit align and hit play. And we're gonna let this kind of just, you know, get things into phase coherence and see if we can get some improvements going. All right, we just got a little bit more punch. It's really hard to tell because the snare bleed that's happening, but I'm listening to the kick drum and I'm listening to sort of like I say 40 hertz to 200 hertz, 40 to 300 hertz. So basically, like, I'm listening to the sub area, and then I'm listening to the punch area. The root of the kick is probably on this one is around like 60 hertz or so. I'm not positive, but it sounds about there. It's a little bit higher up, it's not like really low. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just aligning these. I can now print these, and you can really see the alignment by simply going to the channel here and hitting commit on it. And this will bounce through the plugin. And this will also just consolidate the clips and do whatever else you want to do with it. But I'm just going to bounce it through the plugin, basically, the auto align. All right. And then we have a print there. Actually, I want to keep that mono, so I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to do that again. But we can also do that with the kick sub as well. And let me see here. I don't want to render with volume and mute or pan automation. And yeah, copy all that. That's cool. That's cool. Source track, I would say just mute or hide. Hide and make inactive. All right, so this should hopefully just be a mono bounce now. I would think so. Yeah. All right, so if you do like automation, panning, all that, then it's going to bounce it as stereo, which is a pain in the ass. But, we'll put like kick out aligned. Okay. And then the kick sub, let's do the same thing. Let's just commit this. And what this is doing is just bouncing it in place, okay? So it's bouncing it through the auto align plugin. And to make sure that everything is completely cohesive, I want to also bounce through the auto align plugin on the kick in, okay? And this is just like doing some housekeeping, man. Getting everything in tight timing. Tight timing is everything. And then we're gonna do some gating, I think, on that snare drum. I just think it's a little much, right? But let's look at the phase coherence now, and you can see it's like perfectly aligned. It's gonna be really nice and tight. Yeah, it gets into like very, very good sample accuracy on this alignment. And those are all three of the kicks, all different kicks. Okay. So now what we want to do is maybe on this kick in is give it a nice little gate. Okay, so a go-to gate for me, because you can hear that bleed of the snare drum, right? And this kick in is like a ticky kick, and I'll probably use it for that, just like a little bit of it. I don't really like the sound of it, to be honest with you. I think it's just a little too ticky, a little too tick, 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 tick. Like, it sounds papery and just not very cool. So I'm going to gate the shit out of it. I'm going to use the Fab Filter gate. I just really like the Pro G. I think this is like a really dope gate that just works really well. And it's very simple to use, so just keep it on classic mode. Typically I go really, really fast on attack if I'm dealing with drums and transients. And then the release, we're gonna have to set this and the hold and all that, but we're gonna really deal with the threshold here. The range should be at least 50 dB. That's gonna be just basically silent. So if you start bringing this up, then it's going to leave a little bit of the room, if you will, the atmosphere. It's not gonna be a hard gate. But we're going to hard gate this, and I'm going to gate out the snare. Simple, effective. I don't know what else to tell you. That's a gate for you, right? Same thing here, check it out. So we can now pop this kick out in. So for example, when you want to gate something and you have like that snare drum that's like just as loud as the kick drum, a great way to deal with that is just let some of that snare in. Like, it's okay. It can actually add to the full drum kit sound. So for example, maybe the range, I want to let that snare hit a little bit, or even mess with the release and the hold. So the hold is how long it's going to hold the gate, right? You can see the hold knob specifies how much time the gate expander is forced to stay open after it has been triggered. So it's basically like, you know, a compressor in reverse almost, right? So that's what we're doing there, and I'll show you what I'm gonna try to do to get this kick out to sound a little bit more musical and less like robotic. And actually listening to this kick out, I don't mind the sound of it. It sounds like a replacement drum. So like you can hear the room mics, but you're not hearing like the hi-hats and the overheads and everything. So that's kind of cool. I might actually not gate this, or if I do, I'll just gate it just a touch, because I do like the ring out of the snare in that. And it might sound really musical. Also, I like the sound of the kick in it. So I think the kick sub, let's check that. That might be needing a gate. Okay, I'm not liking that because I think it's going to make it sound more robotic. So I'm going to get rid of the gate on the kick out, and let's try it just on the kick sub. Okay, that's beautiful for me. Next thing I would do after this is an EQ and get rid of all the tick in the kick sub. There's no reason you should have tick in a sub kick. Like, just wouldn't make even any sense at all. That's more like it. Now, I don't think I need the gate at all on this. I'm just going to get rid of it. And we're going to also sweep out the very bottom, because I just want to play clean up here. I don't want a bunch of voltage hitting at like 18 hertz, you know what I mean? 10 hertz. It doesn't make sense. That would just be eating up headroom and shit. Okay, and then the kick in and the kick out. This is like, let's put these together. The kick sub, I'm just going to use, like, I'm going to blend it in. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do I need more low beef in that kick sub area? Probably not, to be honest with you. Very little for this style of music. But for the kick in, I don't like how ticky it is. But I also don't like how there's tick in the kick in and tick in the kick out. Like, I'd like the kick out like sound, that microphone, to be more like a do 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 do, you know, not a tick 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 tick, you know what I mean? Like, that's for the kick in. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna EQ on the kick out to sort of fit, like, complement the kick in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want more punch out of it, but not so much tick. Okay, I don't mind that snare sound. I think it just needs a smack. Needs to smack a lot harder. So first thing I'm gonna do on the snare is I'm gonna send it to some parallel compression. Okay, that's like number one thing for drums. Kick and snare, I don't know, like even room mics, just send them to some parallel compression. You don't need to hit it like with a bunch of compression on the actual snare. I think a lot of times that can sound really affected and like compressed to shit. So yeah, just send it to some parallel compression and you'll be good. I think I have a parallel compressor set up on this. I mean, we'll just hit it with the kick parallel, right? Like that's a great place to put it. Kick parallel. Let's send to kick parallel here and let's go 100% on it. All right, that's sounding cool. I'm actually gonna now duplicate this and I'm going to make a snare parallel because there's, I wanna treat it differently. So we're gonna call this snare P comp. All right, and then I'm gonna change this input for the bus. Let's just make this, let's make a new one in here on the IO. Set up a little bus action and we'll make a new path and we'll call this snare P comp. Snare P comp, fun stuff. Yeah, man, awesome watching people make buses on YouTube. I know it's not that interesting, but you know, this is part of the process, baby. All right, so let's go to snare P comp. Where are we? Snare P comp right here. Okay, so this is where we're gonna hit this, and on this one for the snare, I'm going to use the API still. I think that's a good choice, but you know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I want to do maybe something a little bit more opto meets like tape saturation-y kind of vibe. So I think what I'm gonna do is like a Fatso, or yeah, Fatso's pretty sick for this kind of snare. I think it'll fatten it up as well. So we will put on the Fatso. The Fatso's good, or we can also use the distressor. Let's just go Fatso Junior. And on this, I'm just gonna like grab something, right? Like soft clipper, fine. This is like a starting point, you know what I mean? And then EQ P1A, let's shift this a little bit. We don't want such a boost at 100. Although 100 is a good place to sometimes boost the snare drum, right? For that coom. But I find it's usually up a little higher. Usually like 200, 220, you know? That kind of area is a good body boost for a snare drum. And then on the frequency, I actually kind of want this to have a little sparkle on it, so I'll go 12K on it, and we'll shape it a little bit. I don't want that much of a boost on it yet until I hear it. And then the Pro Q3, I want to just roll out the very top. I want to save that sizzle. I want to get rid of that boost at the 60 because that's really made for a kick, right? And we'll probably sweep up all the way to like 80 or something on this. I don't know yet. Okay, and then this is the snare parallel compression. Remember that. So that's what we're going to be doing, is sending the snare drum to this. Okay, so let's go to the bus and go to snare P comp, and we're going to send 100% to that. And here we go. Let's hear it. All right, let's talk about the Fatso real quick, because I think this is a cool plugin and it's something that I just absolutely love on so many instruments, mainly bass, drums. I use it on vocals, rap vocals, using it on like buses or mastering bus even to like give you some tape saturation and stuff. But basically what this plugin is it is a, I would say like a high-end limiter meets a compressor meets a tape saturator, you know? And when you saturate tape, you kind of limit the high end. But this kind of breaks it up, which is really dope. It like explodes these concepts. And then it gives you other things like a tranny, right? Like a big transformer out. So you can turn on the the transformer, and you can push the output transformer, which is dope. That gives some nice color and beef. And then you have a compressor, bus, group, or spank compression, and you can kind of go through these, and you can get like all of them combined if you want to. So you can do bus, group, and spank compression all together. Or you could do just bus or just group or just spank or bus and group, or, you know, like you go through all the combinations, which is really fun. It gives you a really cool concept of compression. So on this, I'm just going to go bus. And then on the warm thing here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can go through the warmth modes. And this is really like a high-end limiter, which gives it kind of a warm, tapey kind of vibe, which is really dope. So I might want to like start like 3. I don't know though, you might want your snare drum to sparkle and spit and shine, but I think this is cool. It adds some nice harmonics as well. So between these and then pushing the tranny out and maybe like not the input, I'll show you what we can do with it. You get a lot of colors out of this thing. Like pretty crazy how many colors you can get out of just this one unit. I used to own, actually the first outboard gear I ever owned and ever bought was a Fatso. And I just love it. I mean, it's such a great compressor. It's a great like tape saturator. It has just so many beautiful colors and stuff to it. And remember, we're using this on a snare drum right now. You know what I mean? On a snare parallel compression. So it's, yeah. It's way cool on like bass and synths and all sorts of stuff, but really, really fun processor. So we're smashing it pretty hard. You could see the compression amount down here in dB. Right, but it's giving like such a cool punch, like a boom, like it's hitting it really hard. And then the warmth, I think, is really adding to that. So the more you turn the warmth up, the more you're going to hear like the body and the punch of the snare. The more you turn it down, like if you stayed off or at 1 or something, you get more of like the ring of the actual snares, right? The snare under the drum. So it just depends on the sound you're looking for. But I really like the punch and the mid-range of this 5 right here. I think this is really cool. And then we have the snare bottom as well. And on the snare bottom, I typically will just filter out everything I don't need. So let's see. Really cool way to brighten everything up a little bit, because the snare bottom mic, or even if you have like a crush mic or something that you put, you know, in between the snare and the kick drum and all that, you can get like mid-range out of it. You can get high end. You can EQ the overall sound of the kit. So here I'm actually giving like a nice little spit on the kick drum as well, because the kick drum is like firing off on this mic, and I think it's because it's from like a MIDI drum kit kind of thing, where you have like the mic bleed and stuff, but it sounds really good. It sounds really musical to me. And that's the way I'm EQing the kick drum a little bit more, right? Instead of, because like on the kick in, I kind of tucked back a lot of this sparkle and spit. So it's just kind of nicer to hear it with the whole kit and the dimension of hearing that high end in the snare bottom mic. I think that's kind of interesting to my ear. I don't know why, but that's how I feel. I really feel that way. So I'm going to turn on the EQ on this snare top as well. And let's just keep the punch and kind of filter out any garbage at the bottom. So typically with Pro Q3 or any EQ like it, I try to do my cuts and my filtering with it because it's very precise. It's a lot more precise than, like, let's say a Neve or an API or something, right? But a Neve or an API is going to have colors for boosting that I like a lot more. So for this, for the snare top, I might use an API 550B or something, you know what I mean? And just give it some of that that top area, or you know, the mid-range that I like, or the fatness that I like, or whatever, because this has so much more color to it and it adds harmonics, and it just makes the EQ feel more alive and less surgical to me. And because we're dealing with like such an acoustic sounding kind of kit and band, we want to make sure that we keep this really musical. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to turn this to a bell, and I'm going to go like around 200, and I'm just going to boost this up like 4 dB just to really hear it. And I'll show you like some punch and body in that snare. All right, so that's kind of cool. I like that. But for me, this needs more of like a crack, this kind of snare does. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to bell this, and I'm going to go like around like 5K, 3 to 5K. We'll try a couple of these. We might want more top, less top, I don't know. But I'm going to take this down, also this boost to 100, and see if we can punch that up just a little bit at 2 dB. And then we'll punch up the sizzle and spit of the snare, the crack of the snare up at the top. All right, you got to be careful. You don't want to bring out the ring too much. You know, the kwong, kwong. You want more of like the ka, ka, more of the crack of it, less of the woong, woong sort of thing, right? So they already probably mic'd it up, or the kit that they're using has like enough like muffling to kill that ring in the snare so that it sounds really good. All right, so now we got snare top, snare bottom, kick in, kick out, kick sub, all these vibes going on. I'm just like starting to build the drum kit. Let's throw the bass in just to see how this is sitting with these the kick and snare pretty much. Like the bass just feels way more beefy, right? It's like in a different world because it's so much more beefy, and the drum kit's like D-K, D-D-K, you know? Just feels kind of like, it's kind of puny, right? So more parallel compression is always a good answer. But we also have other mics. So these mics are going to give dimension to the kit, give it more of a presence in space, in spatial placement. And that's really important. Like, you want to build the space around the drum kit. I think that's like the foundation. The drum kit, the bass guitar, there's your foundation, your setting, and now you can start plugging things within that setting and within that atmosphere. And that's a good way for anyone to do it around like a natural sounding kit. Okay, so all of these are panned directly up the middle. So that's one thing that's just gonna make it feel smaller, okay? Until we start bringing in other mics. So we got a floor tom here. I'm not gonna bring that in. I'm gonna bring in the hi-hats though. I don't see that we have like an overhead mic, which is really would be helpful, and room mics would be helpful as well, just to give it more dimension and give it more space. So instead of trying to like, you know, figure out, did you have a room mic and all that, you know, I got my stems, I got what I got, but I can build a room. You know, I could send all of these drums to a room that I can kind of fake, and then I can blend that in, if you will. And I'll show you how I do that. I do that a lot when I get stems from like replaced drums or bands or whatever. It's just like a really cool trick. But let's try it with this hi-hat. This hi-hat looks pretty tightly mic'd though. Okay, so those are all the mics in. Now, what I might want to do is send all of these to a parallel compressor. The things that I think will fit. Obviously, if you start sending like rack toms, you see all the microphone bleed here? This is all bleed. The rack toms aren't being played right here, right? So sometimes you don't want to strip that out. The reason being is because it can give you a sense of space and dimension to your kit. It can make it feel like front to back bigger, and you know, like people go in and they clean up all these stems and they're like, oh, I cleaned up all that noise. That's a good thing to do sometimes, right? Sometimes the record needs that. There's way too much noise and way too much bleed. But when I play this drum kit together, I'm like, this sounds good. Like I'm not mad about this. I'm not like, oh, it's so noisy, it's not right. You know, it sounds good to me. So the only thing I would use is maybe some EQ and stuff, and panning, like I'm panning them out and stuff, right? But for now, I think this is all good with the floor toms, but I'm not going to parallel compress them because you're going to bring up all that room mic noise, and you kind of take away from the directly mic'd kick drum, snare drum, etc. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the kick drums, probably just the kick in and out. I'm going to throw those to the parallel, the drum parallel. I think it's kick. I think I labeled it kick parallel comp or something like that. Let's see. Snare P comp, drum mix. And sometimes I just like, it's so hard for me to find the shit I made. Oh, Transformer would be a good one actually for this. But yeah, kick sidechain, where are you? I'm probably just like going right over it. Anyway. So let's check the kick sidechain real quick. So we have the kick sidechain, kick parallel. Yeah, it's just labeled kick parallel stereo. Okay. All right, so let's go to kick parallel stereo. There it is. All right, and then this is the kick in. I'm gonna go 100% there. I'll copy this down 100% on this as well. And we can always blend the kick in, the kick parallel. All right, I do want to control this bass more. I'm just going to kind of smash it down a little bit. R comp's always good for that. I mean, I use R comp religiously. I'd say like 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 on a bass always sounds good. and go the attack pretty quick, like 50 to 70 milliseconds, and release pretty quick as well. Just because like boom boom doo 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 doo, you know, I'm just like humming that in my head. Opto's good, smooth, and we'll just kind of like give it 3 to 6. Sounding good. I might want to give it just a little bit of EQ cleanup now that we've brought all that up. You know, I want to tighten this up. I love mixing bass, man. It's one of my favorite things to mix, just because there's so much to it. Such a beautiful instrument, and yeah, you got to know how to define it. And a lot of people don't understand, like, the bass in the 400 to 500 area, like that's where your like growl and your body is. A lot of people sweep that out of bass, which is really dumb. Another one I love to use on bass is the Sound Toys. I think it's Sound Toys. Like the distortion soft tube. That's what it is. Harmonics. This thing's amazing. Like on bass, it just like flattens it, and I love that. Like especially, and you still have the transients and the definition on it. So you just take this down, you're gonna get less dynamic. I really love Transformers, like really thick on bass. Shit's insane. You can drive it, you can add some top character or more like dark character. I would say right in the middle is fine for now. And then dry wet, and then you also have these filters which are really powerful. So for example, if I want to just affect the distortion part of it at like 100 hertz to 400 hertz or 100 hertz and above, I can do that, which is really, really powerful. I can do it pre or post the distortion, which is also awesome. And the high cut, like I don't want a bunch of tinny shit at the top, especially not in the bass. I might go down to like 3K or so, right? And we just kind of blend this in. Like that is just a very musical sounding bass now, right? So if I take out what I've done so far on this, let's just bypass A, B this, and bass is really boring, really vanilla, really flat, really uninspiring. It's just kind of like a, it's not bad recorded, it's well recorded, but before and after it's like feels more like it's got the attitude, you know. It's like I'm confident, You know, I'm here, motherfucker. All right, let's listen just a little A-B here. Right, just a little bit more, like a little more throat. And I really like that. I think that's super, super dope. Just shapes the bass and the kick drum really well. Because now the kick drum can be more round and punchy and fat. And the bass can be more throaty and growly. And they can combine to make a force for the betterment of all music, mankind, everywhere. How you guys doing? You guys awake still? Just mixing on the live stream? Hopefully you guys are like liking this. If you are, let me know. Throw some thumbs up. Like, I don't even know if you're there right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm just working on a record. So, you know, sharing my shit with you. Now check this out. We're going to throw everything into the mix and we're going to start to balance it back in. Now we need that snare to like, we need a fucking reverb there. You feel me? We gotta get it. We gotta get that reverb. Gotta get that crack. All right, you guys want the crack? Gotta get the crack. Sorry, I'm tripping a little bit. You know, smoking a little Doja Cat. All right, I'm gonna hit the snare drum. The snare top, I think. Let's hear snare and top and bottom together. I'm still weary of this bottom mic. Yeah, the snare drum needs a reverb tail. Like, it's killing me right now, right? So let's send it to a new track, and we're gonna call this snare verb. And you want like the most like classic sounding, like this is just gonna sound like a record kind of snare verb. Okay. Oh, you do? All right, cool. All right, you go to the UAD, you go to 480L, right? Because everybody used the 480L. I mean, shit, I used the 480L with an SSL 6K when I was working with Mark Mothersbaugh. It was actually Babyface's 6K. And the 480L like literally has a spot. The remote for the 480L reverb unit has a spot right empty for the remote on the SSL. On the 4000, 6000, 9000, they all just know how important it is, that 480L. So Lexicon makes the 480L. It's amazing. If you don't know it, then you don't know much about making records. Let's be real. If you don't know what the 480L, the Lexicon 480L reverb is, you, my friend, don't know much about making records. That's it. You just need to keep learning, keep going. But now you do know. So maybe you do know a lot about making records. But if I just told you for the first time, yeah, you need to study more, man. All right, let me go to, let's go to like a wooden room, okay? So wooden room is like I'm sorry, like that is the shit, okay? So you go to rooms, you got music club, you got large room, medium, small, very small, large wood room, right? Let's do like a medium wood room. Or I think there's just, yeah. Okay, so we'll try the large wood room for first off, right? And we'll do 100% wet. So you have to make sure wet solo is on, right? So see, it's on. It's on by default, by the way. So we're sending to the snare reverb, and just check out this verb as it hits. We gonna feel it. Okay, hold on. I have to bust the snare verb as well. So the snare verb has to go to the all drums bus, right? because we have to get it, like, we want to hear everything. So all drums. Now that's going to go through our whole mix structure and our hierarchy. I don't know what I'm saying right now, man. I'm telling you. All right, so see, also the room time, like 1.3, I think that needs to be up at like maybe twice that, right? Like 2.5, something like that. All right, it's getting there. Snare drum is getting a little lost. I do think it needs a little compression. Probably, we'll try it after the API at first, but I probably want to put it before. But I'm going to use a new plugin that I think is really dope, and you know, I've just been messing with, and it's musical as fuck, and it's based off of a really dope hardware unit. It's called the Avalon VT747 SP. Okay, so this is actually a really dope unit in real life. A lot of mastering engineers, mixing engineers use this hardware unit, right? And Kazrog just modeled this. It's really good. I really like the EQ on it. So I'm gonna add like a little bit of sheen on the top of that snare drum so I can get some spit, because I'm still not getting the spit. And I'm also going to just dip a little bit of the 500. I may have boosted the 500 somewhere. I don't know, bro. Like, it doesn't really fucking matter. I don't care. All right, I'm just going to do this because I know that this is going to get me where I need to go. And it looks like I did not boost any 500 so far. So I'm going to go back on that, man. 480L might be a little too dark for this. We might want something a little bit more spitty on the reverb, but it's giving a sense of space. So I might use 2 reverbs on the drums. You know what I mean? So if I get rid of that snare verb, listen to what happens to snare. Now, this is also a balance thing. I think right now the guitars feel really loud to me, and they feel like there's a lot of like high mids in them. So I do need to be careful with that. I don't want that to be super rocked out like that. But here's what I got on the guitars here. I love this plugin, and I also just like really love the Arturia effects collection. Shit's amazing. I'm sorry, like they got some amazing stuff in here, and it sounds really good. Lion Master pedal from Safari Pedals. These guys are dope. They sent me this, and they were like, "Yo, check out our pedals. Love them." Like I've been fucking with them like crazy. So you got like a width, saturation. You got all sorts of cool stuff. I'm actually gonna take the saturation up a little bit, and on the EQ here at the end, I think that all looks good. I think maybe right now it's just like a matter of turning this guitar bus down, or yeah, like I don't think that much 1K in there. Yeah, we're good here. Okay, so these rhythm electric guitars, they need to come down. There's no way. I really want the acoustic guitar to be a little bit more present in this part. These are almost like for like harmonic structure of the guitars. If you listen to the reference, that's really what I'm referencing as far as like that balance. So here's the reference. This is their demo. This is like their mix. I mean, come on, bro. Like, that's the electric guitars in mine are like really amped up, and I think we need to have the acoustic more blended in and probably just a little bit louder than the electrics on this part. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of keep tucking these like maybe 2 dB more, you know, somewhere around here, 17, some, I don't know. Check it out. Right, makes a little bit more sense. Maybe come up just a touch here. So let's go up like, you know, a couple dB, point dBs. Let's go like 16. I think that's good. And then I'm kind of panning these like left and right. It's not really how they came, but I think they sound better like that. And then on the acoustic, I think I need to let the electrics kind of take that body area, which is like around here. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so this acoustic could really do with some compression. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of compression. And for like an acoustic guitar compressor, I like optos. I like smooth, right? Like buttery, silky kind of compression on acoustic guitars. Sometimes if the guitar is like really lacking and it's kind of boring, then you can add like more harmonics by using Fairchilds and variable mu kind of compressors with harmonics, right, from tubes. But for this, like, I just feel like it just needs to be cleaned up just a little bit and more like more beautiful, right? Because the chords are beautiful. There's some like suspended kind of sounding chords in there, which feel very like emo, like a little bit more emotional kind of vibes. And I want to make sure that that's expressed. You know, I don't want to miss that. And it's easy to miss that kind of stuff if you're not really tuned in with mixing and making things sonically feel right? It's not all about the tech. It's about how does it feel? How should it feel? How do you go from where it's at now to making it feel that way with the tools that you have, right? That's the whole process of mixing. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to use a classic, right? Like I'm going to use a like a Tube Tech CL1B. Yeah, this be amazing on this. Just like real soft, subtle, opto style kind of vibes, right? So let's get that. Let's just hit this with a little bit of it. All right, and I got to be really careful of like these certain notes that are just kind of popping out. I'm not digging that. So we're going to take this, I'm going to tighten this up a little bit because I want to keep the body of everything else. And I'm just going to do like very little here, maybe dB to 2 dB. And then right after this, I'm going to use this Mic DSP plugin, which I fucking love. I think it's super dope. Anything Mic DSP is pretty dope. But MC404 is like a great one for this kind of vibe. And I'm just going to set it and forget it sort of thing. I'm going to use the multi-band compressor. That's what this is. And it breaks it down into 4 bands. And I'm really going to focus on this band here, right? So this red band, which is band 3. And we're just going to give this a little bit of threshold. And we're going to let this kind of gain reduce on certain notes that are popping out that are really annoying.
this bad, I'd be better off dead. Pack the blunts and we hit the road. Fuck it up anytime we go. This is the path we chose. Stand by for the 1, 2, 3, let's go. We took this trip to West Virginia. On the road with an open mind. We took this trip to Carolina. Beauty compared to Heaven's Child. Now her song is on the radio, with everyone she knows. This is the let's go.
All right, I got a guitar, a little strangler up here that I colored pink as if it was my vocal, which is actually a solo. Oops! Oopsie daisy, my friends. Let's get that all colored up and make sure it's going through the right bus because we want that shit to rock, right? All right, let's take it through the electric guitar stuff. I'm just gonna I'm gonna put it through the rhythm guitar stuff right now, but I'm gonna make its own bus, right? So the guitar rhythm bus here is the Pro Q3, the harmonics, and the Pro Q3 again. Doing some EQ to clean up and do side stuff. Like I love like 500, 600 in the sides on electric guitars. Get out of here. This is amazing. Love it. Thick, beautiful, just very musical. Yo, James, what's up, man? Thanks for the super chat, bro. Appreciate that. That's amazing. Yeah, and you know, I'm here helping y'all. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't need to be streaming my mixes. You know, I don't need to be streaming my mixes and explaining my every move to you guys on the internet. That's actually not like something I have to do. So I'm doing this to help you guys out. So hopefully you're getting something out of it. I know James always gets something out of it because he's a boss. You know, life is a continual learning experience for all of us. So yeah, keep learning. You know what I mean? All right, so Lance lead, I love this. I think this part right here, we will be making more room for this lead. I'm just gonna turn an EQ on because I know I'll need it. And another thing, let's go back because we have these vocals here. And also the vocals don't sound, they're not ready. Like I just have them in there so I'm making sure that I don't step on them, right? But they are not mixed. Like I am not anywhere near mixed on these vocals. I mean, I'm pretty close. You know, I got just like some compressors and some de-essing. And then I'm just sending vocal parallel compression, fattening, and some vocal verb. And that's it. Vocals aren't really touched much. Okay? So I've really been focusing in my head right now. I'm focusing on drums, bass, foundation, and rhythm stuff, right? Like what's the rhythm? What's the song? If you took the guitars out, you took the bass out, you don't have a song. You just have like a MIDI sounding drum kit kind of thing, right? It's like, it doesn't really work too well. So all of it together and combined is really making a lot of sense. So just to give you an example and an idea of where we're at already, you know, and I've sat with this for, before this session with you guys, I set this all up. The Pro Tools session, I, you know, did all my routing and I did some like pre-mixing. I like level, gain, structured everything, right? So I made sure everything is going through all these different buses at a certain gain and a certain structure so that it could go to my master bus chain, which is a lot of things going on, right? But that's what I'm mixing into. And I'm treating this as if it's a console. Very hard for people to understand, especially online, especially amateurs, like people that have not been doing this long. They don't understand. Why are you using so many plugins? What are you doing? I'm like, yo, what? Negative 1.2 dB on the threshold. Zero ceiling, 0.4 dB at 85, 0.3 dB at 347, 0.2 dB at 10. Like, y'all have to understand, I'm literally like using these plugins and this chain as like it's a console in front of me, right? And I'm going through the gear. And I'm going through those things to give me color. It's just how I mix. I'm sorry. Like, you want me to do it differently? Fuck off. Right? So then I got the Oxford inflator, you know, and this is giving me harmonics, and I'm messing with this to make sure the gain structure is right. I took this down 0.39 dB. Got the Goldfoss cleaning up, you know, giving me a little separation. Not much. 1.3 dB on the boost. I'm filtering out everything under 26 hertz. Everything above 16K that I'm not affecting with this plugin. Right? Soothe 2. I'm just soothing out some of the top, some of the bottom. Simple shit, right? Very, very simple. The oven, giving me some harmonics and some thickness and fullness and glue and gel to the whole mix, right? And I'm still tweaking all these things, but I'm mixing through these things. So they're all just doing a little tiny bit all the way through. Gold clip. It's not even all 100% wet. It's like 53%. You know what I'm saying? So like it's blended in, and I'm giving it just a little bit of that gold touch. Just like some saturation, basically, harmonics, soft clipping stuff. And then the Avalon, okay? We're doing like very, very, very minimal stuff. Right? Let's see if it's even compressing at all.
Go! I don't have any words to say. I don't even have a melody.
It's like, dude, it's compressing for sure. And just so you guys know, compression happens before the needle moves. If that just blew your mind, again, you got to get to work. You got to study. You got to start spending a lot more time paying attention. Use your ears. When you see a VU meter on a plugin and it's like not moving, that doesn't mean it's not compressing. It means a VU meter is very slow. That's all that means, all right? And that's what it's modeling. It's modeling the VU meter on a hardware unit, okay? So it's doing exactly what that's supposed to do. Like, I really don't understand why everybody thinks, like, you know, if the needle's not moving, or if it's not like even, like it's just like this, and it like barely budges a little bit, you're still compressing. You're compressing before the needle ever moves, okay? So just making sure everyone understands that, because I see people online like hating on other people for saying things, like trying to teach people stuff, and it's like, they're not wrong. You guys just like need everything to be completely compressed and see needles moving and like hear huge differences to understand like what the fuck we're doing. But the truth is, it's all about little tiny things. And that's why we spend so much money on crazy computers. And like, I easily got 50 grand worth of plugins, sample libraries, you know, just on my computer, like what I've bought over the years. Just because this is my living, this is my life, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing. I digress. Just getting on a tangent there. But I'm trying to make a point. Like, when you don't see a needle moving, or you see someone doing 0.3 dB of something, it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. It means that you can't hear it because your ears aren't trained. You're not in the right room. You don't have the right studio speakers. You haven't spent enough time doing this. It's okay. It's fine. That's why nobody pays you thousands of dollars to mix their records. You feel me? Like, I'm not going to pat my own back. I'm just telling you guys, like, this is the name of the game. Small things. Tiny bites. Okay? And then the God particle. We're not even limiting much. Like, let's see how much it's limiting.
Go!
2.5 dB on peaks. This is an adaptive limiter built into the God particle, okay? It's amazing. I had someone comment on my post the other day, a week ago or something. They're like, really? You're using God particle limiter as your final limiter? That's so lame. And I'm like, you're a fucking moron. This limiter, this adaptive limiter built into the God particle is better than 95% of the limiters out there. Like the limiters that stand on their own. It just sounds good. If something sounds good, you use it. That's it, guys. Like, that's the name of the game. Like, you see, I got a limitless. This is a great limiter. It's like, I paid like $300 for this one plugin. You know, people are like, oh, gold clip, $300, one plugin. Okay, like, why aren't you using that as your limiter? I'm like, because this is my limiter. I like this as my limiter. All right, that's why. So gain staging again. So let's see where we're hitting right now. right, so I easily got another dB of headroom to like expand, make this louder, make it more impactful, punchy, etc., and compete. All right, so that's the part that's really dope about where I'm at. Let's bounce back and forth to the reference and what we have. All right, here's the reference.
Go!
All right, a little small A/B for you guys, okay? So jumping out the speakers, sounding like a record, that sounds like a demo. Sounds like a demo to me, and that's, you know, obviously the reason why I'm working on this. Do you guys have any questions? I don't know, maybe I'll do a little Q&A before I get out of here, but I'm gonna take a little ear break here and come back to this. I also gotta do something, so, but before I get going, I'm here to answer any questions y'all have. Because I love doing Q&A. Like, you know, a lot of people are sitting here going, man, I have an idea. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Butch Big? Man, I get that so often, man. Like, Gabe, you got to be more original, bro. You'll get it. You know? It takes practice to be funny. Philippe, what's up, bro? Song is good, man. I really like the song. Blue Collar PA is the band. West Virginia is the song. I think they previously released this, and then they were like, yo, we should get this mixed and mastered. Smart. This will be a way better, more competitive song when they put it out the second time. Promise you that. What's up? Drew's in the house. Small moves. Always, dude. That's what it's all about. It's always good to see James, obviously. Thank you so much again for the super chat, bro. That was really, really nice. Appreciate that quite a bit. The mix board with the 480L in the middle was the cover pick of every mag. So true. Yeah, man, the 480L is iconic. And I also love the 224. Really great. Really, really great. Awesome for like organic instruments and acoustic instruments, orchestral instruments, strings, things like that. 224 is amazing. Thank you for all the tips, of course, man. Of course. Yeah. All right. If you guys don't have any questions, then I'm gonna get out of here. But I'll wait a second because I know there's like a delay in the stream and everything. But yeah, it's good to see y'all like on a Wednesday afternoon. It's 4:30. So it's cool to see some people in here and you know, be talking about some mixing and stuff. And man, I just get so excited about this shit. You guys have to realize like this is what I love doing. I love the art, I love the science, I love learning, I love the new plugins, the new tech. You know, I'm constantly trying to improve, always trying to improve my environment, my room, my monitoring, my ears, everything. I'm always on game. I'm always learning from people that are better than me at certain things, you know? So it's really, really important that you keep learning and you keep growing and you keep applying, because a lot of people, I find they'll watch these kind of streams or they'll watch masterclasses or YouTubes and stuff, and they don't really apply anything. They don't actually like finish records or, you know, get help with their mixes or, you know, hire people or get things done and put music out into the world. They just kind of watch tutorials all day and, you know, talk about how they're going to release some music soon, you know? So don't be that person. Really important that you take action on this stuff. Don't just learn and learn and learn. I call that a success zombie, right? Like they love learning. Like I want to learn and learn and learn, but then they don't do anything. They don't apply any of it. Like that sucks too, right? So definitely apply this stuff, get in the studio and start using it. Even if it is 1:38 in the morning for Philippe. What's up? That's good though, man. At least I got you not at like 4 in the morning, right? Yeah, you got it. Hey, Martin, blessings. All right, you guys have a good day, good night. And if you like this show and you like the live streams and the mixing and all that stuff, share it, you know, and subscribe and show love and drop comments and, you know, try to help get the word out there, and I'll do more live streams. That's it. That's the name of the game. Peace.